lesson. Students are starting the lesson sitting on the carpet. Hey friends, can anyone tell me what kind of weather we have normally during the season of winter? That's right, what kind of activities do we like to do in the snow? I love all of those activities, especially building snowmen. Well, today I have a story for us about a snowman and an activity for us to do. For our story and activity, we're going to retell a story. Can anyone tell me what retelling is, or what does it mean to retell a story? Let's see. Retell means to tell again, using your own words. Or like what you said, we can retell a second time. And then when we retell stories, we retell them with a beginning and middle and end, and they're in an order. Can anyone, just to help us practice, can anyone tell me how to build a snowman in order from beginning to end? Students hopefully say, like, start with the bottom and then the middle one and then the top and then like add accessories. Great job, everyone. That's an example of how to retell. Next, we're going to review some vocabulary words that are going to be in our story. Okay, our first one is sneezed. Can anyone tell me what a sneeze is? Well, a sneeze is the air that comes out of your nose and your mouth really, really fast when something has tickled your nose. Can you show me how to sneeze? Like this? Yeah, that's right. Achoo! That's awesome. Our next word is shivered. Can anyone tell me what they think the word shivered means? Oh, I see someone showing me how they shiver. A shiver is something like when your body shakes a little bit because you feel cold or scared or excited. Can you show me how a shiver looks like? Oh, exactly, like this. Ooh, great. Our next word is swirled. Does anyone know what they think swirled might mean or what it talks about? Well, it means to like move around and around in a circle. Can someone raise their hand and show me how they can swirl? And the student might do this. That's great. Okay, our next word is freezing. Can anyone tell me what they think the word freezing means? Yes, that's right. That means it's really, really cold or very cold. Can someone use the word freezing in a sentence? Thank you so much. Okay, our next word is hot tub. Ooh, can anyone tell me what they think a hot tub is? Those are all great guesses. A hot tub is a big tub or a really small pool of hot or warm water where people can sit and relax. Has anyone ever seen or been in a hot tub before? That's awesome. Okay, for our last word that's in our story is the word gigantic. Can anyone tell me what they think the word gigantic means? Wow, thank you for showing me what you think gigantic means. Yes, it means something very, very big. Can y'all all show me what y'all think gigantic looks like? Oh, that's right. It's really, really, really big. That's awesome. Okay, and our last vocabulary word that's not in our story, but it's going to help us retell our story, is the word key details. And key details are just the really important parts or the events that happen in a story, and they help us retell our story. Okay, that's awesome. Our book is called Sneezy the Snowman, written by Maureen Wright and illustrated by Stephen Gilpin. And there's a picture of our cover of our book. And can anyone remember what the author's job is? That's right. Let's do our little song that we do. Author writes, illustrator draws. That's right. The author writes the words and the illustrator draws the pictures. That is awesome. Okay, everyone, by the cover of our book, what do you think that might happen in our story? That's right. It looks like the snowman might be sick. Looks like the snowman is sneezing. That's right. Let's see. Those are some great predictions. Let's begin reading. Okay, and that was the introduction for my lesson of Sneezy the Snowman. And this is the rest of the lesson that I'm going to walk through. At the beginning of the body of the lesson, the teacher will read the book, or I will read Sneezy the Snowman. stopping at various places, and I have this like guide I've made, and I'm going to include it like with my digital upload of my lesson plan, and it has my vocabulary words I've used, my stopping places and questions, like where I would stop in the book and ask the students or class a question. Like this is an example on page 3 and 4. The question is, if a snowman drinks hot chocolate, what do you think will happen? Because in the story, the snowman drinks hot chocolate, and the students will probably answer, it'll melt or it'll warm up, and those kind of things. And then last, I have the order of solutions, or like the order of the retell that we'll talk about. So the order goes like a cup of cocoa or hot chocolate, the hat, the hot tub, the scarf, campfire, the coat, and ice cream. And this is just what I would use as a guide to help me, like I use it with my vocabulary words, or I'll use it for my stopping places for my questions. And these stopping places and questions are actually were written out on sticky notes in my book. And so I'd pull those off and ask them and stop as we get to those pages in the book. Okay, and then after I've read the book, the students, like I said, will answer those prompted questions. And then I will ask if students will remember what it means to retell a story. And then students would tell me to tell it again, or to read it a second time, or to tell it a second time, or tell it in their own words. And I would say, like, that's a great job because we've answered our question. Now let's retell the story of Sneezy the Snowman together. And I would include puppets of the story, or like key details, and it's from our worksheet actually. So we have the ice cream, the hot tub, the hot cocoa, the scarf, the hat, the campfire, and the coat. These are all puppets. I don't have them with me, but those are what the puppet images are. The same ones that are used in the graphic organizer that we'll eventually do for our assessment or activity. That's used like as a scaffold, just so kids and students can like associate those pictures that we're using for our retelling with the activity. Okay, and then I'll talk about what happened first. Sneezy was, I would say blank, and I call on a student to answer me, and they'll say Sneezy was cold. And then I'll do what happened next, and so on throughout the story. I would have students go up one by one, the ones that answer the question, to come up and grab the retelling stick or the puppet and stand in line in order of the story. So like I said, first would be he is cold. So first is Sneezy, just the snowman. And then next is the hot chocolate, and I'll go in order of the story. And then after all the kids have retold the story, and I might also use the book to refer back to the text. If students are struggling, I'll ask if they're having a hard time answering the question, if they need to ask a friend or a buddy to help them answer the question, or if they just like me to come back to them, just in case, so it doesn't make them feel left out, so they're still included in the conversation. After we've done most of the retell, I've even added some extra questions of like, do snowmen normally wear coats? Just for students to think of like their prior knowledge of snowmen and what they've learned. And be like, no, they don't normally wear coats. Just other stuff like that. And so after our retelling, I would say, that was awesome, guys. Look how we retold the story of Sneezy the Snowman together. And then I would explain our graphic organizer. And our graphic organizer looks like this. I had it in the smaller version right here. And so I'd say we just finished retelling the story of Sneezy the Snowman. And I would say I would like you to put the things that happened to Sneezy, which are called events or those key details, in order of what happened first to last. And I'm going to model by saying I'm going to help you by modeling how to complete the graphic organizer. So let's do number 1 together. Okay, so what happened to Sneezy after he said he was cold? The students would say they gave him hot chocolate, and that's correct. That's what happened after Sneezy said he was cold. So what students would do, they would cut the bottom off of their sheet and then cut each picture out, and they would put the hot chocolate and glue it onto the graphic organizer. Okay, and after I've modeled that lesson and modeled the first one, I would say now I want them to do that with every other square that's in our graphic organizer. And I would say, I want you to retell the story by yourself now and prompt the students to go back to their seats and grab a pencil, scissors, and a glue stick. And then make sure that they write their name on the back of their paper. And then students are passed out the graphic organizer, and then they begin working. And then once they're finished, they may color the picture if they'd like, but they don't have to. But then after you're done, to turn it into their green basket or their turn-in basket and come sit back down on the carpet. Then while they're doing the activity, I would be actively walking around and supervising and answering any questions students may have and providing any additional supports when necessary. And then, like I said, when students finish the activity, I would prompt them to turn it in their turn-in basket and return to the carpet. Our closure of our story, of our lesson, at this point, all the students are at the carpet, and I'll say, let's retell our story one more time to see if we can answer about what we've learned during our class. And I'll use our concept of sequencing and retelling to strengthen what we've learned with the text. So I'll use the book this time instead of maybe the retelling sticks. And so let's review what we've learned today. Well, we learned how to retell a story in order. And I would ask, retelling a story means what? And then I would call on a student, and the student would answer, retelling a story means to tell a story again, or in our own words. Were we able to retell the story of Sneezy the Snowman? Yes, the students would say. Do you think we can use what we learned today to retell other stories in order that we read about? And the students would say yes. And I would say, we've learned so much today. Thank you guys so much for listening to my lesson. Did everyone enjoy the story and the activity? And for my differentiation, I decided to do content for above standard, or more or less it's the content and the product. For the differentiation, it would be like, for above standard, it would be students could have record themselves retelling the story on their iPad. And then below standard, I would maybe get a small group of students or sit with a student that might be struggling and talk them through the story with either the book or the retelling sticks to help them complete their graphic organizer and help reactivate that thinking. And yeah, I think that's my lesson. Thank you so much.